For a shooting and killing a man on the west side, how one argument led to a violent discovery by police. A Houston legend is lending a helping hand to the Hill Country, and he's doing it in his own unique way. Why Mattress Mack met with those still reeling from the July 4th floods.
I can only teach what I know, but there are deaf people here that have the experience, and they can teach their experience.
Live from KSAT 12. The Nightbeat starts right now.
Welcome to the Nightbeat. I'm John Paul Barajas. We start tonight with a deadly shooting, a SWAT team showing up, and a suspect who is still on the run. Let's rewind a little bit. San Antonio police say a man and an unknown person got into an argument at an apartment complex on San Fernando Street on the west side. At some point, the other person shot the man before taking off. The victim was rushed to the hospital but did not survive. When police initially responded, they thought the shooter was still at that complex, leading to that SWAT situation showing up, or them showing up. They later learned that that wasn't the case. Neither the victim or the shooter had been identified at this time. Another person has been arrested in retaliation to a deadly kidnapping and drive-by shooting that happened last month. This is 20-year-old Marcos Villegas. San Antonio police say Villegas broke into a home with a group of other people and assaulted those inside at gunpoint. Police said the group then sent messages to 44-year-old Antonio Sanchez to lure him to the home. That's when someone shot and killed Sanchez. According to an arrest affidavit, Villegas left the home before that shooting, but it states that he held the gun during the break-in and the initial assault. He's been charged with aggravated kidnapping. Police have also arrested Rafael Alamendres and are still looking for 19-year-old Marco Vasquez, who is wanted for capital murder. 2 Harper ISD students have been arrested after allegedly planning an attack on a campus. Gillespie County Sheriff's Office says one student has been charged with a 3rd-degree felony and a state jail felony. The other student has been charged with a state jail felony. Both students are being held in juvenile detention centers. Officials add the investigation is still ongoing. We'll update you with new information as we get it. A man is in the hospital after a hit-and-run motorcycle crash. It happened around 9:30 last night on Fredericksburg Road near West Woodlawn Avenue. SAPD tell us a man crossing the street without using the crosswalk was hit by a motorcycle. The motorcyclist did not stop to render aid. The man was taken to the hospital. There is no word on how they're doing at this time. The driver will face criminal charges once found. You may be wondering what these hand signs are. This is American Sign Language, spelling out KSAT. It's a language that thousands of people who are deaf or hard of hearing use to communicate with every single day. Just behind me, you'll see a man speaking in sign language, and you'll quickly understand why. For the first time in over a decade, a local organization hosted a festival for deaf people in San Antonio. Night Team's Ari Oates spoke with people about why having an event like this is so important for our community.
This story is going to look a little bit different. You've already seen some of it. If you look at the top right corner of your screen, this is David Cisneros. He is going to be signing what I say for anyone who's deaf or hard of hearing. That's because the World Health Organization estimates there are about 430 million people experiencing hearing loss worldwide, and September is Deaf Awareness Month.
My love for the deaf community, deaf culture.
It's hard to track down exactly how many people are deaf or hard of hearing in Texas, but here in San Antonio, there is a community.
I would like to see more things happen more often that are accessible for all people, whether they're hearing or they're deaf.
So the Deaf Association of San Antonio, or DASA, hosted the city's first deaf festival in more than 10 years.
We originally started holding this festival back in the 1980s.
This is Joseph, the president of the Deaf Association of San Antonio. Voicing over him signing is a family friend.
It's important to emphasize that deaf people can really do anything with the exception of hearing. They can drive, they can work.
Hearing people see. The deaf people is about communicating, it's about being shared.
It was really important for me to come to this event because this was the opportunity for me to see all my friends, meet new people. I was able to invite students to come.
Shannon is an ASL teacher at a local high school where she prides herself on getting students immersed in the deaf community.
So I wanted the students to come and see for themselves. See that it's okay to come and talk with deaf people. This is a very loving and welcoming community.
And they hope to make this Deaf Festival an annual event once again.
I really feel inspired to see this many people come out.
Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
And we want to say a thank you to David Cisneros for providing that ASL translation for this story. Such an amazing event. And speaking of the event that they held today, it's warm outside, but not hot, and definitely not as hot as it could have been, Shelby.
Especially because when you put it into perspective of where we're traditionally at this year, we were only a degree or two above our average temperature. Right now, we're still sitting on the warmer side in the 80s, but this is a look at our peak temperatures that we got to earlier today. 90 degrees at the San Antonio airport, 96 was what we got in areas of comfort, but the Hill Country were a little cooler. They were waking up in the 50s and the 60s. Their peak temperature in areas of Los Maples only got to 85 degrees. Now, right now, we're continuing to see the temperatures already decrease. 79 degrees in Bernie, 83 in San Antonio right now, 75 in Kerrville, but it's still feeling a little on the muggier side, and that those humidity percentages will continue to increase not only today, but also the next few days. We're seeing the dew point temperature start to increase tomorrow, and that's also associated with the few tropical systems currently in the Pacific, on top of also a slight chance of rain. I'll talk about what's causing really the weather not only today, but also the next week coming up in just a bit, JP.
Shelby, looking forward to it. And Uvalde CISD schools will be shutting their doors for most of the upcoming week after an alleged cyber attack. UCISD campuses will be closed starting Monday the 15th through Thursday the 18th. District officials tell us that ransomware has been found in the district servers, adding that this hack affects systems that are crucial for safety and security, such as the central camera monitoring location, visitor management systems, and the phone systems, just to name a few. An investigation is underway. And there's also a restaurant that has numerous violations after inspectors found cockroaches in their coolers and also on their food. A month later, KSAT takes a look behind that kitchen door to see if the restaurant has cleaned up its act. That's later on the Nightbeat. And he's a Houston legend, and now the people in the Hill Country resonate with him even more. Devin Karp spoke with Mattress Mack and shows us his gift to fellow Texans. Next. A Houston legend is making a difference in the lives of hundreds of families who lost everything in the Hill Country floods by making sure they get a good night's sleep. KSAT's Devin Karp spent the morning in Ingram to meet Mattress Mack, whose goal is to put some people's fears to bed.
They got it. One queen mattress?
One queen mattress, yeah.
Oh. Our backyard goes down to Bumblebee Creek, and we swam out the front door.
Sleep hasn't come easy for Joan after the July 4th floods. And ever since then, she's been staying in an RV while repairing her house. But hearing about free mattress donations in Ingram was a great wake-up call.
No, I didn't expect it. I've been taking pictures and telling my daughter and my friends, I said, you won't believe this, you won't believe this.
After a severe trauma like what happened here in the flood, the best thing you can do is sleep. It's also the most difficult thing to do. So hopefully these new comfy mattresses help people sleep better and start the recovery process.
Mattress Mack is a Houston icon, known for his company Gallery Furniture, betting millions on the Astros, and showing up for Texans during natural disasters like Hurricane Harvey.
One of my things I was taught in high school, we all have a responsibility for the well-being of the community. So when this happened, we knew we were going to get involved. And
we've been working in the twin section. That's where everybody wants like 2 or 3 of them every now and then. So we just get in pairs and lift them and put them in trucks.
You guys getting a good workout in too?
Oh yeah.
Mack's here donating 500 mattresses of every size with pillows and volunteers from across Texas who came to load them up for a long line of families looking for a good night's sleep.
Really appreciate this turnout for the mattresses. This is great. My mattress is like 30 years old, so I can sleep better. Wake up without a backache.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Good to see you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And what goes better with a brand new bed than hundreds of handmade quilts from around the country to go with it?
Yes, we have them from Louisiana, Washington State, California, Iowa. It's amazing. They just keep calling me, can we send you quilts? I say, yes, send us quilts. We'll take them.
You can't help but laugh and smile and just say, thank you, Jesus.
For Joan, the effort means more than her community showing up for those in need.
It means I'm going to sleep better than I am now in an RV. I'm going to sleep great when I get this set up in my house.
Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
You love to see that genuine excitement, and I think Devin might have been more excited than those folks to meet Mattress Mack than getting the mattresses themselves and quilts. But that's far from the only help for people in the Hill Country. Financial assistance through FEMA is still available. The deadline to apply is September 28th. That means those who live in qualifying counties can submit damages and make claims to FEMA. We have a link on our website to apply on KSAT.com. Plus, some relief for Kerrville city workers. The city is offering them a third insurance plan. The announcement comes after workers in Kerrville told KSAT they were worried about not being able to afford higher insurance payments. Now they can choose a new PPO option. It's a mid-tier plan, access to out-of-network coverage at a lower cost than the most expensive plan. The city says it'll cover the cost for employees and the new plan. And today's been rather nice, typical, just 90-degree heat for us here in South Texas.
Especially, it started off kind of chilly. I know when Devin was out meeting Mattress Mack, he was very giddy, by the way. He even told me he was giddy, but he also texted me saying it was cold, 65 in the morning in the Hill Country today.
Well, that in itself is enough to smile. Top that on top of meeting Mattress Mack, and you get Devin's smile, which is much bigger than I can even do right now.
Absolutely. And tomorrow is going to be another kind of carbon copy of what we saw today. Tomorrow for San Antonio, you're waking up with temperatures about 72 degrees, still seeing those partly cloudy skies, already warming up to 80 degrees by 10 a.m., near 90 by lunchtime, and continuing to see the temperatures on the warmer side throughout the rest of the afternoon. But one thing I want it noted is, although we're going to get to about 94 degrees, that's only 2 degrees above our average temperature. Our average this time of year is about 91, so we're actually going to be above average tomorrow for San Antonio, and it's because of this heat high. Normally we see this big blue H arrive traditionally in June, and that's what gives us, and is part of the reason we see the triple digits throughout most of the year, especially in the summer. But with us, that heat high isn't as strong as we're normally used to seeing it in the summer. And that's just pushing all the showers and storms, especially associated with this low pressure system moving over the Rockies, to go up near Lubbock, near Oklahoma City, pushing all the storms up and around it. But tomorrow we do have a chance that some of the storms associated with what was tropical storm Mario in the Pacific, the remnants, some of that moisture could make its way towards San Antonio, but it's really only a 10% chance. And even then, we are continuing to see about a 10% chance of some showers and storms throughout the rest of the week. But we're really seeing not only that first heat high, but also a secondary heat high take over San Antonio throughout the week. And that's going to give us a little bit of a quieter weather week for most of us, especially because we have continued to see the rain and the thunderstorms move through on the weekends. So other portions of the country are going to be active, but not necessarily for San Antonio. Now here's a look at the rainfall totals of the next 7 days. Not everyone is going to see that chance of some heavier rain like in San Antonio. Maybe 0.02 of an inch, but as you get towards areas of Corpus or even towards Eagle Pass near the Rio Grande, it can also depend. We're tracking the coastal plains like Corpus down towards South Padre Island, but even then Eagle Pass and the Rio Grande to get a little bit more rain than necessarily San Antonio. But most of the Gulf Coast are going to continue to have quieter weather because of those heat highs really taking over, but we still need the rain. We are still in that drought. This was the latest drought monitor that was released on Thursday. Now, although we still see that exceptional drought in areas of Medina County, I want to put it into perspective a little bit. Here is what I'm about to show you of the drought monitor that was in mid-May. A big difference, especially for Bexar County, for portions of the Hill Country out to the west. Now, yes, we did have a few floods that also associated with the heavier rain moving through portions like Kirk County, and even in Bexar County, we had the heavy rainfall on June 12th. But we are still in a much better spot today than what we were just a few months ago. So yes, we still need the rain, but it's okay to have a little bit of some quieter weather this week, kind of that Groundhog's Day effect for us in San Antonio. You're waking up in the upper 60s for folks in the Hill Country, low 70s for everyone here in the city, and temperatures in the afternoon, mid to low 90s.
Are you taking a sigh of relief there that there's no rain chances, at least right now, on this 7-day forecast?
I know the weather team's at least a little grateful that we're able to just have a light breath of relief, especially on a weekend where it seems like we've been having rain after rain after rain.
Absolutely. And that comparison there in the drought monitor I appreciated it, because as soon as you showed us the current one, my initial thought was, wow, a few months ago, it was all red.
Yeah.
And you showed us that. So, as you mentioned, much better place. UTSA, the Roadrunners, are now in a much better place as well, finally getting in the win column.
Yes, a big win for UTSA. It's a game against UIW today. A lot of implications as UTSA earns its first win of the season over UIW in the hometown showdown. And Arch Manning and Texas victorious today, but frustrations mount for Manning and the offense after the break.
I'm just frustrated. I know I'm better than this, so it's a little frustrating. It's going to be hard to sleep tonight, but I'll be back rolling.
Texas gets the win against inferior UTEP, but the Horns not exactly looking SEC ready in big board sports. But first, UTSA hosting its crosstown FCS foe UIW inside the Alamo Dome. Larry Coker, the Roadrunners' first coach, and the rest of the 2011 team honored pregame. Meanwhile, current head coach Jeff Traylor and UTSA hunting its first win of the 2025 season. In the first drive of the game, UIW fumbles the ball at their own 46, and the Roadrunners are all over it. UTSA now with great field position, and it's not long before Devin McEwen seizes his red zone opportunity right up the hash marks for the 13-yard score. UTSA led 10-0 after one. Second quarter now, the FBS rushing leader Robert Henry Jr. powers in to cap off a drive that started at the UIW 39-yard line. Now ensuing drive, the Cardinals once again turn the ball over, setting up UTSA inside the 5. That's where McCown's TD strike lands in the hands of Dan Dishman. The Roadrunners led 24-0 at the half.
Colson with pressure on his backside, throws across his body. That's complete. What a play by Colson, and UIW has themselves a touchdown. It's Jaden James.
Well, in the first half, E.J. Colson replaced UIW starter Richard Torres. Colson then went 17 of 24 for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns for UIW. 2 of those TD passes were in the third quarter to make it 38-14 UTSA. However, Shad Banks Jr. says enough. The flea flicker ends with the UTSA senior linebacker picking off the pass. The Cardinals had 4 turnovers as UTSA rolls to a 48-20 victory. Here's Banks after the win.
We gave up a few plays. It's still a lot of things we got to correct, a lot of communication and stuff like that. But I think we played a lot better. We came out, forced turnovers, got them behind the sticks, and I think boys just was flying around, and we made plays.
There's a magnifying glass on Arch Manning as he struggled to live up to the preseason hype. And number 7 Texas just 2 weeks out from its SEC opener against Florida. But first, UTEP is visiting Austin, and Manning struggled in the first half. Aside from 2 rushing touchdowns, the sophomore had 10 straight incompletions and threw a red zone INT. The home crowd let the Longhorns hear it with some boos despite leading 14-3 at the half. Now in the third quarter, UTEP QB Malachi Nelson is picked off by Grayson Littleton, and Texas kept the Miners scoreless in the frame. Now Manning struggles in the passing game, and Texas's running backs were put to the test. The Horns wrapped up 226 yards on the ground. James Simon and Jared Gibson combined for 131 of those yards after starter C.J. Baxter was injured on the first play of the game, and Trey Wisner is still out. And thanks to that rushing attack, Texas able to take care of business, defeating UTEP 27-10, improving to 2-1.
I feel like our passing game in week 1 was average. I thought last week was explosive, and today was I don't even know if it was average.
I got to play better. It's not good enough, as y'all can see. I got to play better for us to maybe it slides against UTEP, but it's not going to win us games against SEC. I got to play better.
All right, let's check in with some live scores. Live score right now, Arizona State up 10-3 on Texas State in the second quarter. And A&M trailing Notre Dame 40-34 in the fourth quarter. UTRGV winning a big one 80-0 against Langston today to stay undefeated on the season. And TLU falling in their second game of the season to Howard Payne 28-18. All right, coming up later in the show, high school football highlights and Cowboys veteran offensive guard Tyler Smith gets paid today. A big payday for Smith.
UTRGV, 80 points?
80 points.
This is your first season, not only 3-0, 80 points. And then the opposing team, 0. One looks like a basketball score. The other one looks like a baseball score.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Langston, but still an impressive outcome.
If you can put up 80 points in any football game, as you mentioned, very impressive.
Yes.
Thanks for that, Mary. Coming up, at least 112 veterans are behind bars at the Bexar County Jail. Our Stephanie Jimenez looks into how a new law can help veterans get back on the right track. The viral sport banana ball made its wacky way to San Antonio to debut in San Antonio this weekend. Our Mary Rominger gives us the highlights later tonight on the Nightbeat. Welcome back. Your time 10:40 this evening, and this is a loop, actively moving, but you don't see anything on it. Shelby Bertowski, a sigh of relief that there's a quiet, dare I say, quiet weather day on a weekend, which seems like it's been nonstop lately.
Or at least a little calmer. So normally the last few months, I feel like we've at least had something to talk about of the rainfall totals. Whole lot of nothing today. I know the weather team's very excited, and tomorrow is going to be another carbon copy paste of what we saw today, kind of that Groundhog Day effect. You're waking up with temperatures about 72 degrees, peak temperature about 94, and similar to today, we're going to continue to see the humidity start to increase, but also those winds. We were seeing some stronger winds gusting up to about 15 to even 20 miles an hour at times, to the point where you were going outside and you could feel the wind kind of go in your face. It felt a little warmer, felt a little more muggy, kind of like a hairdryer throughout most of the afternoon. And tomorrow, not only are we expected to be in the 90s, most of South Central Texas are expected to be in the 90s, except the hill country. They're still going to be a few degrees cooler, sitting in those 80s, but that's because when you see the sun rays go down on the ground, it doesn't absorb the heat on the rural areas like in the hill country as much as it does in the city. That's why normally in the city areas you see the temperatures at least a few degrees warmer, because the cement absorbs it and continues to have the warmer temperatures. So 94 degrees is expected for San Antonio tomorrow, and even the next 7 days, like I've been mentioning. Carbon copy paste getting down to 93 degrees on Wednesday, but really the next active weather, JP, is the tropics, and I'll talk about what you need to know coming up in just a bit.
Shelby, thank you. And there's a new state law aimed at helping incarcerated veterans. Senate Bill 2938 went into effect last week. So now every time someone goes into jail, the sheriffs must verify whether that person also served in the military. Our Stephanie Jimenez found out how the law is working at the Bexar County Jail and how it can help veterans get on the right track.
There's a lot of vets, like, you know, I got little problems, conditions, but there's a lot of them out there so lost that they don't know how to get back.
Do you think that you were dealing with mental issues?
Oh yeah, I got mental issues too, but I'm coping with it.
That's Morris Austin. He's 66, a veteran.
I served in the military from 78 to 81.
And recently spent months at the Bexar County Jail for a drug charge. Now that Morris is out, he wants to stay out and build a new life. Luckily, he has the essentials, food and a place to stay. He's also getting help through the Bexar County Military and Veterans Service Center.
We offer employment services that can assist. We have a peer support and a financial assistance program.
Keith Wilson is the executive director of the Veterans Service Center. The goal of the agency is to help all veterans, including those who are in jail. And that's where SB 2938 comes in. It went into effect September 1st and requires Texas jails to verify the veteran status of inmates when they come into the jail. Before, that process was inconsistent.
We're not starting from zero.
We spoke with Sheriff Javier Salazar about how he's implementing SB 2938.
We have a system in place that will identify someone as a veteran, even in the event that they check no.
That verification is supposed to make it easier to connect veterans with services from the moment they get to the jail.
What we want to do is show them a road that's hopefully going to prevent them from coming back.
That's why Sheriff Salazar supports the new law.
We owe it to our veterans to take care of them. I'm a firm believer that not everybody in the jail is, quote unquote, a dangerous person. Many times people wind up in jail for circumstances well beyond their control.
Back to Morris, he was out of jail before the law went into effect, but he's optimistic about what it could do for veterans in jail. He just hopes they get the help they need.
Just try to maintain, and when you get out, try to find your support group, get your support group.
That was Stephanie Jimenez reporting. And Banana Ball took over San Antonio this weekend. Our Mary Rominger has all the highlights from the stadium shenanigans. And this restaurant received 13 demerits for having cockroaches on the food and in the cooler. A month later, the restaurant owner invites KSAT behind the kitchen door. Coming up after the break. It's a sad day for San Antonio barbecue lovers. Bill Miller's Barbecue's iconic downtown flagship restaurant closed yesterday. The restaurant has stood for decades on West Cesar Chavez Boulevard. A Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation filing said a new two-story building for the company's new headquarters will be completed in September 2025. It'll be located off of Old Highway 90 and 151 on the west side. And speaking of restaurants, another San Antonio restaurant had dead roaches in a prep cooler. And to make things even worse, a roach was found on ham. Health inspectors issued the Italian restaurant Guillermo's numerous violations back in August. Now, a month later, the owner invites KSAT's Daniela Ibarra behind the kitchen door for an update.
Just off McCullough and St. Mary's in downtown San Antonio, you'll find Guillermo's. Inspectors checked out the pale yellow restaurant and issued 13 demerits. They found dead roaches in the bar and in a prep cooler and a live roach on ham.
How have you guys fixed your roach problem?
We have exterminators. We get bi-monthly treatment, and we're happy to show you around.
And that's exactly what the owner, Guillermo, did.
Hi guys, we got KSAT 12 here. Hi guys. Guys, how's the roach problem? Is it under control?
I will say you're the first restaurant owner that we've had that's actually taken us behind the kitchen. Why do you want customers to see this?
Because look, especially in today's climate, we need to be as transparent as possible.
He says keeping pests out of the old building is a challenge.
There's some bait right there.
He also showed us the ice machine. Inspectors say they found black and red residue there.
There was some mold in here today on the machine.
And what's your goal for the next time a food inspector drops by your restaurant?
Well, to do the exact same, to get better and better and better at it. So our goal is to reach 100, right? How about that? Hello, ma'am. Welcome to Guillermo's.
Guillermo says he hopes to earn a perfect score.
I appreciate you for being transparent and showing us everything and talking with us about it.
That's what's behind the kitchen door. I'm Daniela Ibarra.
We also want to tell you about restaurants that earn perfect scores. We have a few of them listed on this story on KSAT.com. And taking a look at live cam, a quiet Saturday night, something that we've all enjoyed, especially the weather team. And it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat for the next few days or week.
Really carbon copy, kind of that Groundhog's Day effect. You're waking up in those 60s, 70s afternoon temperatures, getting to those 90s, still seeing that cloud coverage. And that's what we're expecting really for the next week or so. Not much of a change, maybe a little bit of some moisture for some folks. But when you take a look at statistically where we're averaging out, we're normally getting our first front in the month of September. Not necessarily the beginning, but our average first cold front is about September 24th. We're not expecting any cold front anytime soon. We're going to continue to be above average for the next 6 to 10 days. I'll break down your outlook of what you can expect in San Antonio, plus take a look at the tropics that are becoming a little more active coming up after the break.
All right, Shelby, you've been making the reference, the Groundhog Day effect, over and over, repeating the same.
Great movie. Great movie. But it really is. I mean, normally in September and October, we're seeing at least some sort of weather come through. It is peak hurricane season, so we get the moisture. But take a look at the radar and satellite. We have that area of high pressure sitting over areas of Texas and even getting into Texarkana, Louisiana, Oklahoma still a little bit. And it's really causing the weather for the next week or so to be very stagnant, very similar. Carbon copy, copy paste throughout the next week. And traditionally, we would see a few showers and thunderstorms, but what we're watching is earlier in the week, even just a few days ago, we were seeing that omega block in the weather pattern, like that Greek letter omega. You see a low pressure system in the Pacific Northwest, that high pressure system in the central portion of the country, and then another low pressure. So we get kind of that stagnant pattern where everyone's seeing the same weather, but that since moved forward, and we're seeing that low pressure bring in all that tropical moisture from what was Tropical Storm Mario, and I'll get to that in just a second, through portions of the country. And that's part of the reason Lubbock is seeing some storms all across the Four Corners, even going up to North and South Dakota. But for us, that high pressure is really going to take over, and we're expecting above average temperatures, not only for San Antonio, but for portions of the Gulf Coast, and in fact, most of the country. There is a little bit of portions of the Midwest not expecting above average temperatures, but they're still expecting at least a little bit of rain, and we're not. Normally, we're at least used to a little bit of rain, not a lot, but at least enough to help take the edge off with the rain. But even then, we're below average for the rain in San Antonio, but we're still in hurricane season. We just got done with the peak of hurricane season, which was September 10th, about a few days ago, and we are still on the downtrend, but hurricane season goes, at least for the Atlantic, until the end of November. And we still have a few more named storms that we can possibly get to, but the Pacific is also starting to get a little more active. This yellow area, that's about a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. And even this orange, they just issued that warning, and that upgraded to about a 40% as of just in the last few minutes. Now, that's also combined with the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Mario going off now into areas of Mexico, and you can start to see some of that water vapor and some of that excess moisture moving into San Antonio. But as we take a look at the Atlantic, it's also starting to get a little more active. We're tracking this tropical wave just off the coast of Africa moving through, and it does have a 60% chance over the next 7 days to develop, but it's not expecting, as of now, to make any landfall. It's going to appear to get in between Bermuda and the United States, but it has to get through a lot of dry air. It has to get through some wind shear. So there are still some areas that might prohibit it from actually happening. But like I mentioned, the remnants of Mario sitting already off the coast of Mexico. So we're still seeing that chance, and none of it is going to make its way to Texas. Really, for the next 7 days, we're seeing maybe a 10% chance of some showers and a thunderstorm or two near the coastal plains, but relatively quiet for San Antonio, just a battle with the humidity, the cloud coverage, and plenty of sunscreen.
It's nice to see no rain chances, at least at this point. Things can change quickly,
yes.
So I don't want to jinx us, but at least at this point, that things are quiet in this 7-day forecast, Shelby.
Very much so.
Somewhere where things were not quiet was the Texas A&M and Notre Dame showdown. Not only was it high scoring, it went down to the wire.
Yeah.
The Aggies pulling it out there at the end.
Yeah, big win over Notre Dame. Big shout out to the Aggies. We'll take another look at that final coming up in sports. Also, district play begins for Sotomayor and Brennan. The highlights of a couple BGC area games coming up. And Tyler Smith getting paid before the Cowboys home opener tomorrow. That and more after the break.